No foreign nation, no hacker should be able to shut down our networks.
Can we almost think of these as cyber sleeper cells that might be activated at a much later date?
You're asking me, is somebody preparing the battlefield against the United States and its allies? You bet somebody is.
Good evening, I'm Joey Chen. An invasion is underway in our country right now. Now, you might not see it, but it threatens our nation's security. It could take down power plants, chemical facilities. We just saw how something as seemingly frivolous as emails between Hollywood execs can become the hack that led to an international crisis. Now, Al Jazeera contributor Lindsay Moran explains how we are all put at risk.
You're asking me, is somebody preparing the battlefield against the United States and its allies? You bet somebody is.
David Smith and Khatuna Mishvidobadze are a husband and wife team tracking a new cyber threat aimed at the heart of America. A type of malware that has invaded some of America's most critical infrastructure.
The only reason you break into this is to figure out how it works so that you might someday need to use that to do what? To bring down the electricity grid. This is not only espionage, it's the mapping and the reconnaissance of industrial control systems, particularly the industrial control systems in Western energy producing companies.
The malware is dubbed Black Energy. Kyle Wilhoit is a virus hunter who's been tracking the threat. When he unleashed it inside his portable lab, he found that Black Energy could be remotely programmed to evolve from espionage to sabotage.
The concerning aspect about this malware is the fact that it's modular in nature. You can take a piece of destructive code and easily introduce it into Black Energy and weaponize it to be destructive.
This is what weaponized malware looks like. In 2007, the Idaho National Laboratory launched Aurora, a simulated attack to see if researchers could physically damage a power plant by hacking into its control system. The attack destroyed a power generator common throughout America's grid. Experts worry that Black Energy could do something similar.
Black Energy and where it was found in the industrial control system seemed to be geared more towards taking over control of the system and directing it rather than, say, siphoning off information from it.
Which is a much more frightening concept.
Yes, it is.
And why are we seeing taboo?
Jen Whedon manages a team of cyber sleuths at FireEye, a cybersecurity firm in Northern Virginia. Her team hunts down hackers whose level of sophistication hints at the involvement of a nation-state, an old adversary of the U.S. How can you be sure that these are Russian actors?
We know that Black Energy has been used by the criminal underground and that it's been developed by Russians in the criminal underground. There are a lot of telltale signs that there's some sort of nexus to Russia.
Because Black Energy began its life as crimeware, attributing it directly to the Kremlin is difficult.
That makes it more challenging for us to sort of tease out, is this something that's criminal or nation state, or is this something that nation states may have bought from criminals?
The targets of Black Energy and the digital fingerprints contained in its code led her team to a group in Russia known as Sandworm.
We linked the malware and some of the infrastructure that it uses to sort of call back home to another known Russian group that was also observed targeting a lot of Western governments, NATO, some U.S. academics, and so the same group that was conducting political military espionage was also using Black Energy to get into critical infrastructure.
How high does this go?
Well, I think we have to just say it unequivocally. It goes to Vladimir Putin. There's no benign explanation for why somebody in Russia is interested in how the lights go on and off in Ohio.
Smith and Mishvidobadze were both in Georgia when Russian cyber criminals used Black Energy to cripple the country's internet before Russia's 2008 invasion.
I was an advisor to the minister's office at Ministry of Defense of Georgia. We all experienced this cyber attack.
All of a sudden we see this first ever combined war where we've got tanks pouring through the Roki Tunnel and we've got literally a cyber war to create confusion and demoralization in Georgia.
While the cyber attacks had the fingerprints of a Russian cyber gang, the timing pointed to the Russian government.
People kept trying to find, well, who did it? Who did it? Well, is it criminals? Is it government? The answer to both questions is yes. It's the Russian government using criminal groups
By using cyber criminals to do their dirty work, the couple says, the Kremlin can tap into a highly skilled workforce while giving itself plausible deniability.
They do it because to confound attribution. And at the same time, it is very cost effective. It is, quite a skillful scheme that they utilize.
It's like having a reserve force and not paying a penny for it. It's honing its skills. It buys its own equipment. It's even making money when you're not using them because it's involved in all kinds of cybercrime. When you need them, you've got an expert corps of cyber warriors ready to go.
They say Putin allows the hackers to operate their cyber criminal enterprises with impunity, but with a catch.
You can do these things as long as what? You don't attack the interests of the Russian state. Other than that, you can pretty much do this. And the deal is, you do your thing, and when we need your help, we'll ask for your help.
Ironically, the roots of this new threat may have grown out of what is allegedly America's most successful cyber sabotage campaign ever. Had you ever seen anything like that before?
No, there wasn't anything like that before.
Computer security expert Ralph Langner is talking about Stuxnet, which he helped decode. It was the first weaponized virus the world had ever seen.
Stuxnet, it is a weapon. It's not like a weapon, it is a weapon because it was designed to cause physical damage.
Stuxnet, allegedly launched by the US and Israel, set back Iran's nuclear program by several years. Malicious code causing centrifuges to blow themselves apart. But Langner worries that the vulnerability of industrial control systems that Stuxnet exploited could be turned against us.
These components are used in chemical plants, nuclear power plants, everywhere. We opened Pandora's box without any idea, any clue how we would deal with that when somebody turns that around. And that turnaround is only a question of time.
No foreign nation, no hacker should be able to shut down our networks, steal our trade secrets, or invade the privacy of American families, especially our kids.
While President Obama recently warned the nation about cyber threats, critics say the bill he is currently pushing Congress to pass would do little to address weaknesses in critical infrastructure. And experts like Will Hoyt believe that the nation will only grow more vulnerable.
These devices are becoming more interconnected, they're becoming more network connected, which then exposes them to a wider target base.
Meanwhile, other nations are discovering America's Achilles heel.
I mean, it's alarming. Black Energy isn't the first malware that we've seen that's sort of hinted at being, in this space. We've seen some China-based groups that look like they're probing related information.
In fact, Whedon's group FireEye found 50 different types of malware that target energy companies. And a recent survey found that 37% of businesses in the U.S. energy sector have been infiltrated with viruses like Black Energy.
I would say right now, I'm not sure we're prepared. And this is a wake-up call.
Do you think it's a matter of when, not if, in terms of...
Yeah, absolutely. We just cannot continue this way any longer. We have to really take care about security, and the bad news is it's going to cost money. Unless somebody is going to do that, nothing's going to change.
Al Jazeera contributor and former CIA officer Lindsey Moran here. So one of the experts you talked to said this goes all the way to Vladimir Putin. I thought that the Cold War was over.
Well, we've seen a real increase in Cold War rhetoric, and hostilities have never been greater between Russia and the West since the Cold War up until now. And I think what you have to understand is this is very personal for Vladimir Putin. He has made no bones about the fact that he wants to restore Russia to its previous greatness. So that includes, increased nuclear capabilities, a modernized navy, and now what we're seeing, new tools in what's essentially information warfare.
Matching you threat for threat, as it were.
Absolutely.
So when we think about this, so much of this seems to be pointed at our energy infrastructure. You said something like 50 types of malware they know are pointed at our energy infrastructure. But what is the serious risk here? I mean, after all, people lose their power for a day. You could live with it. It's inconvenience, right?
Well, it could be more than inconvenience. If you think about how crippling it was to New York City when there was the blackout, think of that on a large scale. This could impact millions of ordinary Americans and go beyond just inconvenience.
So health risks.
Health risks, absolutely.
Safety.
And we're not just talking about the grid, we're also talking about our pipelines, nuclear facilities, any and every kind of critical infrastructure. I think they are seeking inroads.
When you talk about infrastructure, that raises the other point. I mean, how well has the United States prepared itself? We talk about the crumbling infrastructure of our bridges and roads. Are we well prepared on this front?
No, we're not. We're incredibly vulnerable for a number of reasons. We don't really have the regulatory infrastructure in place to demand that utilities tighten their security. So that's part of the problem. Some of these utilities don't even know that they've been infected, and then remedying the situation is very expensive. So it's almost like we're sitting back helplessly waiting for something bad to happen.
A great vulnerability we should be watching out for. Al Jazeera contributor Lindsay Moran, thanks.
Thank you.